Brown says, get that India. Big boy.
Call an ambulance! Maybe call a priest! Oh, what a shot! What a shot! Campbell killer!
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. What about that win tonight? The Parramatta Eels over the Cowboys. We are the Cumberland Throw. We are all things Parramatta Eels. You can see our website, www.thecumberlandthrow.com. We are here every home game, and actually we'll be here next week for the away game. Well, it's a home game that's actually played up in Darwin, but we'll be here live while the match is on. Thank you for coming here tonight. We're going to go over the match. We might get one or two people up, have a bit of a chat with us. But this is our instant reaction podcast. We are recording. This will go out on the Cumberland Throw later tonight, early tomorrow morning. John, what a win, mate.
Yeah, I think we all had him written off coming into this one. I think even the most die-hard blue and gold faithful had their doubts after losses to the Tigers and then into that game last week where Eels got absolutely bombed by the Raiders. Players out, backs against the wall. They start slowly, 60s. It looks ordinary, but they dig deep and they actually end up running that game through to the 80th minute where they control it and take the Cowboys down by 7 points.
Okay, people, be honest. Can I have a show of hands who actually believe the Eels could win tonight? Okay, we got a few. I'll put my hand up. Tipping with my heart, I said Parramatta. Tipping with my head, I thought maybe that's the Cowboys' night tonight.
Yes.
But you know what? It was Old Boys Day today. Hope all of you gave a cheer to the Parramatta Old Boys as they did their lap of honour before the game. But as a result of Old Boys, reserve grade got their first win of the season, and then the Eels did what most thought was impossible tonight and got the win over the Cowboys.
Yeah, all in all, it was a very good day out here at CommBank 60s. Like you said, the New South Wales Cup have had a winless start to the season. They dug deep here to get the win against the North Sydney Bears, who are the Melbourne Storm feeder team in season 2024. We'll talk about that later a little bit, but for now, let's get right into the game with the Parramatta Eels winning 27-20 over the Cowboys.
So we got some key stats from tonight, John. These are the team stats.
Yeah, obviously Parramatta winning by 7 points here. They were ahead on possession by 2%, or 4%, sorry, 52 to 48%. Interestingly, the Cowboys broke the line more effectively than the Eels, 6-4, but Parramatta were better at second phase football, 11 offloads to the North Queensland Cowboys 4. Looking at the play, the ball speed, pretty close, 3.5 seconds to 3.4, so the Eels just behind there. But I think most tellingly, Eels ahead on meterage 60s, winning the post-contact meters by nearly 100. And I think that was reflective in their dominance from about 25 minutes in when they found their way and started to establish themselves in the ruck.
Yeah, and I think that was a key stat. Those that change around in the post-contact meters. But let's talk about the first half. Is it arguable that Parramatta, in that first half, might have produced 25 minutes of their worst football of the season?
That was my takeaway walking away from the stadium was, wow, we played ordinary against the Tigers, we played terrible against the Raiders, but that was our worst 25 minutes across the previous 160 combined. And for them to be able to put that behind them and slow down the tempo against the game, a North Queensland team that want to play rapid, fast football, slicing out through the backs, cutting back inside and exposing that sliding defence. I thought it was tremendous what they did mentally to reset, because that was a very ordinary start.
And we have to be honest, at times it looked like we were clueless in defence in that first half.
Both edges had their moments, left and right, where the Cowboys looked like they had their way from without any challenge. Thankfully, had a bit of luck there. There was some calls for the bunker, there was an obstruction, and then I think Sean Russell made a good tackle down the right edge to just get Murray Talangi, into the sideline by the point of his boot. So big plays both from the bunker and from the defence there, but yeah, it was definitely struggles out wide that they managed to rectify to some degree after.
The concern for me kicked in when the Cowboys scored that first try, and it was from a kick and there wasn't one Eels player that contested the kick.
Yeah, Sean Lane right there. We're looking at the ball, but didn't go up to contest it. And I think if he made any effort to actually reach up and contest it, that's a penalty to Parramatta because there was some contact in the back there. So lack of urgency 100% leading to that try to the back rower for the Cowboys, Nane. But thankfully that was the only time we saw that, at least under the high ball, we saw that lack of urgency because after that, there was some spectacular takes from short dropouts from the Parramatta Eels.
Now the Eels, let's talk about the Eels' first try, but it's more the lead up to the Eels' first try because we saw an absolutely superb tackle from Dylan Brown coming across in cover defence, hits the Cowboys player right on the hip. Classic rugby league tackle, dislodges the ball, turnover, Eels go downfield. First try, Joe Offengawi.
Yeah, Dill doesn't get credited with a turnover on that tackle. 27 tackles made in the game, though, just the one missed. An outstanding defensive performance from the best defending half in the competition, and that was a critical moment in the game because the Cowboys go through there, they're scoring. That was Valentine Holmes and Scott Drinkwater pouring through there, and there's no chance Guffo's winning that 1-on-2.
Now, not long after that, we took the option of the penalty goal to go ahead 8 points to 6, and there followed a really rough passage for the Eels. We struggled to complete a set. I think there was something like 4 sets in a row that we didn't complete, and we got into trouble from that, and our left side was exposed again when the Cowboys scored their second try.
Yeah, you saw Morgan Harper shoot out of the line, I believe, and then couldn't recover in time, leaving Bowie Simonson in a bit of an awkward spot there. It's funny how halftime adjustments can make such a difference, 60s, because our left edge was all at sea in that first 25 minutes. And while they settled a bit after that in the second half, even with that disruption where Bowie Simonson goes down with that suspected knee injury, they did a fantastic job recovering. So it's funny how the Cowboys, we knew they were going to attack down the edges, but they did such a good job only to then be throttled by Parramatta once they made their adjustments.
Absolutely. Now the Eels' second try, I know that we were up there watching it, and at different points in the lead up to that, we're calling for the Eels to hold the ball. Stop
offloading.
Stop offloading. But it was those offloads that actually led to a superb try by Joey Lussick.
Well, one of the themes of our discussions across season 2024 has been that good things will happen if you trail Dylan Brown and be there in support. Will Pennisini did a great job to loop back around from right to left to get on his inside to create the opportunity there, busts 2 tackles and slips a fantastic pass to Joey Lussick to put him over for a fantastic try. And so, yeah, it was good to see Dylan being backed up, Will Pennisini thinking on his feet fast, and Joey Lussick, like any good dummy half, always being around the ball, creating the opportunity to score a fantastic team try.
So we go into half-time with a 14-10 lead. What was your overall impressions of the first half? I mean, lucky to be leading?
Oh, without a doubt. I thought it was outrageous that we were in a position to be leading at half-time. Could have been up 6 if Guffo nails that difficult penalty goal from 30 metres out on the sideline. But the fact that we're even in a position to be contending for the lead, let alone in front, was probably one of the more absurd things we're going to see this season. Cowboys had all the running for at least 67% of that first half, and the Eels just held on and did enough to, with some luck, put themselves in a position to win the game on the back of that first 40 minutes.
Yeah, look, no doubt the Cowboys left points out there in
massively.
that first half.
2, maybe 3 tries.
And I agree with you entirely about, you know, some of the worst football we played this season in that first half. But to go into halftime at a 14-10 lead, I think that was actually the basis of the win. And that might sound like Captain Obvious to have a lead at halftime and then you win. But the way we played in that first half didn't look like we were heading for a win, even with the lead. But the sort of football that was played in the second half was winning football.
And what we saw in the second half was the Eels finally get into a rhythm for the first time without Mitchell Moses since he broke his toe or foot. A bit confused as to what part of it was there, but since he got that foot injury against the Tigers, we actually got into gear. And it's amazing what a difference it makes for the team when suddenly the forwards doing their part through the middle, the backs are actually sliding with correct structures, people holding onto the ball. And suddenly Dylan Brown, Dejan Arce and Quinton Gufferson have these opportunities to build pressure. And we saw that. We saw multiple line dropouts being forced by the Parramatta Eels, and not just forced, but then capturing the ball off those short dropouts, which was a real big attention to detail that we hadn't seen, barring the Joey Lussick no try, which was a bit comical, but aside from that, fantastic attention to detail.
And the first try of the second half was scored by Morgan Harper, and a bit of criticism comes Morgan Harper's way for lack of speed, but he absolutely came from nowhere to ground that ball in the in goal.
It shows you that while speed is king in all professional sports, including rugby league, the ability to read a play and be in the right position can certainly help narrow that gap by a fair bit. And Harper had a great feel for the Dylan Brown kick, dealing with that left arm leg spin on the left leg spin, on the ball there to get it to break a little bit back towards the posts. Harper times his run terrifically and beats one of the speedsters in the game in Scotty Drinkwater to win that race for the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we saw a try from the Cowboys, an ordinary Joey Lussick pass, and basically opened up opportunities for them.
Yeah. You talk about that attention to detail. That was one of the moments where I think 4 players went to sleep. Lussick passed across 3 players, none of whom want anything to do with it. Left poor Sean Lane, the tallest bloke on the field, to have to get down around his ankles and try and clean the ball up. And I don't know what went wrong there. Clearly it was a miscommunication, and everyone else thought that someone else was catching the ball. And unfortunately in rugby league, you turn the ball over in prime positions, you're going to pay.
Now I need to look at the Lussick no try again. I couldn't really see the detail up on the big screen, but he must have been, a toe over the line to be called offside for that no try.
That's definitely something I'm going to have to look at on replay when we get home and have a chance to watch a replay of the game. I actually didn't realise that. While I understood you cannot prevent the ball from breaking the plane of 10 metres, I didn't realise that you actually get put offside by being inside 10 as the receiving team. It's the only time in the game, I suppose kickoffs too, where you can be considered offside by standing inside 10.
Yeah, so it caught me by surprise because I thought that was going to be a definite try. I couldn't see any way that it was going upstairs.
It was going to join rarefied company too. Another dummy half of Mitch Kenny scoring the exact same way in the grand final last year. So could have been part of a very elite company there if the tip back intercept dropout try. Unfortunately, he had a foot offside and had to pay the bill for that one.
Now, another redemption story today really with Dejan Arce. First half, he had some ordinary moments. A missed tackle early in the game, which led to a long break.
Kyle Felt break, exactly.
With Kyle Felt, yeah. A couple of ordinary passes, just didn't look in the game. But then he gets the try that kicks us out to a 12-point lead.
It was a big vote of confidence in Brad Arthur to pick Dejan Arce. Obviously, Blaze Talangi had been in that position the week before. Media were pushing hard for Ethan Sanders to get the job. But not only did they pick him, they actually swapped Dylan Brown from his preferred left edge over to the right edge to facilitate the selection of Arce. Started slow, came up massive in the second half though, scored the try, kicked the field goal. And the fact that they had the vindication to be able to trust him to take that pass too wide out off Dylan Brown and slot it says a lot about his role in the team. Big vote of confidence, and he delivered.
Now talk me through that Cowboys try, because I'm not sure if it was brilliance or if it was pure arse.
That's the stuff of legend that you tell your mates happened in high school when you're playing touch footy at lunch. You got to see the one time we tipped it back and looped around and did about 5 passes while the other team was scrambling. That was a case of, I'm not sure what the Eels actually do to defend that. They put good pressure on to force the early issue, like the early mistake, the panic pass. It just happened to find a couple of the key players in Scott Drinkwater and Chad Townsend in order to facilitate an absolutely absurd try. So well done to the Cowboys. That's going to be replayed plenty of times this season. Thankfully, it didn't lead to the win for him, though.
Now, I don't know about you, but I was starting to think,
oh, no.
Here we go. We're heading towards the last 6-7 minutes. A 6-point lead isn't going to be enough. And if anything, we saw some of Parramatta's more composed play in the last 6-7 minutes.
Yeah, we saw some really staunch defense and some actual composure in attack. Happy to turn the ball over by running it inside the red zone instead of forcing a kick or anything that can sort of lead to the ball running dead for that extra tackle from the 20-meter restart. So calm heads on steady shoulders in that regard. And defensively, the Cowboys still had some opportunities. And the Eels did a fantastic job to just maintain their structures and use the sideline more effectively than they had in the past in order to create a bit more space for the defenders.
And if Joey Lussick missed out on a try that was disallowed for him being like a toe over the line, offside.
Might have been a toe in it for the other one.
Toe short of the line in trying to ground the ball.
Yeah, he's going to be doing this little piggy went to market with a bit of rage, I think, this week. Even though he's still got on the scorer sheet, that's a potential hat trick taken away from the dummy half. So,
and I think we saw Dejan Arce probably cement his spot for next week in nailing that field goal as well.
Yeah, look, we've seen Dejan play some good football in NRL in years prior, 60s, joined the club last year, did a good job while Dylan spent time on the sidelines due to that suspension. The question's going to be, can he maintain the focus after week 3, week 4, until Mitchell Moses comes back? I think for sure he's punched his ticket to next week against the Dolphins up in Darwin, but it's just going to be a matter of staying in the contest for Dejan and just making sure he does his defensive assignments in particular and helps that edge stay resolute in defense.
So the first half we saw some ordinary football from the Eels. How do you rate that second half?
That's up there for the best we've seen this season. Eels played some gutsy football against Penrith, going back, played tough against the Bulldogs, and obviously against the Seagulls played some nice attacking football. I've got to say it's probably close to, considering the circumstances, the personnel were down. It was good, a good half, maybe our best half of the season so far.
Okay, now before we get into the 3-2-1s, I think we need to get our young mate up here. He's a young fella that has the Electric podcast. He and his dad come down from the Central Coast every week to watch the Eels. Fletch, come up and join us. Everyone give Fletch a round of applause. Young Fletch. You've been inspired recently to do an instant reaction podcast of your own. This is your chance to give a few opinions, but let's start off by how you rated the first half and then how you rated the second half.
I thought we were really poor in the first half. It was pretty poor. I think we just gave them too many opportunities, and when we had our opportunities, we couldn't complete our sets.
And the second half?
I thought we were pretty gutsy in the second half. I thought even not even completing the sets, but we made up for our mistakes and errors, and we just got through the week, and it was pretty good.
Now, be honest, did you see a win coming this week?
No.
And if I asked you to give a score out of 10 for last week's performance against the Raiders, and now a score out of 10 for the team for this week's performance, what are your two scores?
It's probably -5. And then for the Cowboys game, probably maybe a 8.5.
I think that's probably a decent rating. It might have been like 6 for the first half and 9, 6.5 for the first half, 9 for the second half. I want to ask you about your thoughts on the best on field today. So let's go to you for your 3-2-1.
So I've got, in 3, I've got Dejan. I thought he was really good. I thought he would just be solid in defence, but he was really involved in the attack and, got a try, got the field goal that changed the game. My 2, I have to give it to our captain, Clint Gutherson. I thought he was really solid again, stepped up and, set up a try. Thought he could have kicked that goal from 30 out if he wanted to, but...
Oh, you're a bit harsh on a goal kicker there, Fletch.
Yeah, my 1, I'll probably give it to Junior. Definitely a redemption game from what he did against Canberra. It was pretty bad against Canberra, and he played really well.
John, what do you think about the 3-2-1s, yours for this week?
It's tough because we've been seeing the Eels trying to chase the winning formula in the absence of Mitchell Moses through their playmaking course for the last couple of weeks. Hadn't gotten it right. Tonight, I think they got a step towards getting it fixed. Maybe not completely fixed right now, but it looked better. I thought Dylan had a tremendous game. He was gutsy, ran with real aggression into line, over 160 metres on the ground, led the team in that regard. Gutho was rock solid. I thought Bailey Simonson was courageous. Coming back from that injury, had some great takes under the high ball. I don't know, it's tough, 60s. When you have a game like this, it's difficult to point a finger at an individual player and say, you're the reason we won, when I think 17 players contributed.
Yeah, and that's a fair call. I'm going to suggest Dylan Brown got my vote for the 3. I just thought he did a really good job in organising the team. Far better than the last 2 weeks, but he also kept that individual threat himself. Every time he carried, he was asking the defence to have to do something to stop him. I would give Junior 2 points because I thought his introduction into the game...
Momentum.
It gave him momentum, and it was back to his impact off the bench that we saw in the first 3 rounds this year. And 1 point to Clint Gutherson, because Gutho just keeps on being Gutho, and he's always impossible to ignore in the 3-2-1s. Okay, Fletch. Did you see reserve grade today?
Did not.
Okay, so we can't get you to comment on any players there that are maybe putting their case forward. But just based on what you've seen today, barring any injuries, would you be making any changes to the Eels team for this week up in Darwin?
I thought we were really solid, and we finally found a system that worked. I thought Dejan coming in was like a great decision. If Cardi coming back really helped us as well on that right edge.
And what about, I mean, this has been quite a remarkable turnaround to get hammered by the Raiders so badly, to perform so badly, and within 6 days the Eels come back. Somehow Brad Arthur works some sort of magic with them, gets them to believe in themselves, gets a performance out of them today, again without Mitch Moses. What's your thoughts about what must have happened during this last 6 days for the Eels to turn it around, Fletch?
Well, he made the changes that needed to be changed. Like some of the players out in that Raiders game just didn't look like they wanted to be there. They got booted, and now we brought in players that actually want to play. Like Bailey Simonson coming back on. No, he didn't need to, but he still came back on and played the rest of the game.
So for you, it's all about effort. Players that are having a go, having a crack out there.
Yeah, it is. I thought if we show effort, we've got the talent and the capabilities to put a good performance together.
Okay, a quick tip from you, Fletch, for this week. The Eels play the Dolphins. The Dolphins look like they're a bit busted up. Hammer's probably going to be missing for a start. Milford is going to be out. They've got injuries across the field. Darwin's sometimes a danger game for us.
It really is.
Warm conditions. We're playing a Queensland team. What's your early tip? Are we going to take the Dolphins this week?
It's a matter of whether we show up like we did today or we show up like we did against Canberra. It's a matter of seeing how we shape up, go to Darwin, and if we just play like we did tonight and patch a little bunch of areas up, we'll be sweet.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, young Fletch, he's a star. He's going to be a star in the future with the podcast. Give him a round of applause. Well, John, we're just about at that pointy end of our podcast. Any final words you've got?
I mean, again, the resilience of the Eels, and there's just some moments that really stand out. Will Penasini gets shuffled to the left wing. It's not his position by any means. He shows great situational awareness to know that Quinton Gutherson had made a tackle on a line break and there's a threat of an early kick coming. He got back in time to save a certain try late in the game before Bailey Simonson comes out. That's the little stuff that's not going to get you man the match, but it gets you a win. So a lot of players really dug deep in that regard. Bailey Simonson himself, the bionic man, They had the technology to rebuild him on the sidelines. Now we wait about whether it's a serious knee injury or not. Sometimes you can play through an early knee injury, but then get surgery later. So a game not without concerns because of injury, but it is kind of crazy to now see 2-3. It felt like the season was in a crossroads. It was at a turning point. Lose tonight and you're 2 wins out of being on parity, or you go to 2-4 rather than being 3-3. So you're chasing parity massively. Now next week you have a chance to go back into over the 500 mark, over the winners aggregate there, and get, back into the top 8. So it's amazing how much can change in a week in rugby league. Eels have a lot of work to do still. They're obviously trying to navigate this period until Mitchell Moses is back. We got concerns of Bryce Cartwright going to the judiciary maybe over, I think, pressure on the head or neck. Got to wait and see what happens there. But again, just so happy with what we see what we saw after that opening 20-25 minutes where we were a mess, but reset ourselves. And it's like that, what you talk about, that goldfish memory. You do something bad, so what? Forget about it, move on, get back to the plan. They did that tonight. Well done.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for being here tonight. Just remember, this week, when the Eels take on the Dolphins, we'll be here for a pre-game podcast and a post-game instant reaction. Come along, join Eels supporters watching the game on the big screen. We'll also be covering the junior rep finals tomorrow out at Leichhardt. Remember the cumberlandthrow.com. Get on there. Thank you and good night.